have an update on that? Chief, do you have an update on that car wreck this morning?
You need a hug?
Nah, I'm good, but I'll take one of you. You can give 'em-
I'll get you. Jake's doing travel baseball, so it's like.
Almost time for our budget meeting. So glad to have Dick Lowry here tonight. Sort of weaseled out of us the other night when it got really rough in here. But your man carried it through to the end. And he said he would or else.
Okay, 6 p.m. on the dot. Where's what? Calgon, take me away. Calgon, take me away. You know that commercial? All right, Mayor, can I begin?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's 6 p.m.
Turn the mic on. It is time.
It's the second required hearing for the budget for fiscal year 2023. If you was here Monday, it'll be the repeat of that. If you have questions, just get my attention, ask the questions. This is a public hearing, so public, you're more than welcome to make comments, concerns, or questions. All right, so first off, we'll start with this budget goes in effect July 1 of 2022. It runs out June 30th. 2023 is known as the fiscal year 23 budget. Some of the increases that make up the general fund. The general fund is referred to as the tax fund, property tax fund. Fire department gets the biggest increase. They're requesting 3 firefighters. Police department's got 1 admin staff. We have a fiber infrastructure project in this budget to connect City Hall and the police and the fire station. That's required to back up the cameras that the officers wear in their patrol cars and their body cams. We have LMIG again in there. That's Local Maintenance Improvement Grant. We had the newly created Main Street Director position, and you'll see in that budget there's more to it than just 1 staff. It's a lot of other stuff, so we'll get to that and explain that. We have a city planner in there for half of the year, which we'll try to hire someone in January of 2023 to start training to replace Tim Prater, who's set to retire in December of 2023. And then we got a few vehicles in police department and IT that's asked for vehicles. In the police department, there will be replacements, and the IT, it'll be a new vehicle, a van, I believe. Some of the increases in the enterprise fund, that's what the EP stands for. That's your water, sewer, stormwater, and water quality. It's mostly all projects, repairing old infrastructure, creating new infrastructure, and chemical costs is still climbing. It's over 102% increase since the last 4 months. It has increased that much. This is the general fund revenues. As you all know, that you are required by the state of Georgia to adopt a balanced budget. It does not have to be balanced at the end of the year. It just has to adopt one. So whatever we have in revenue, we have in expenditures, and vice versa. So revenue, as you all know, has been good. A lot of people buying stuff, shopping. It's up. A lot of that cost can be seen through local option sales tax, insurance premiums, building permits, court. Some other stuff, Natalie. Just mostly just permits and building. So we've increased it $1,371,000 from last year. The column on your left is what we're currently in, the fiscal year 22, which ends end of this month, and the new budget is in the middle at $13,946,000, and the difference is the column on the right. That is roughly a little over 10% increase, and you'll see the expenditures the exact same number. What makes up that revenue? You probably can't see it, but is mostly property tax, general property tax. That can be everything associated with property tax, ad valorem tax, personal property tax, intangible tax, etc. Next is LOST, which is the local option sales tax. That is where everybody comes through Walton County and purchases some type of goods. We get a portion of that along with the other cities in the Walton County. Business license make up 10%. Insurance premiums, then it falls to the single digits. Grants, fines, forfeitures, 5%. And then we get transfer, which is from our specialty revenue, makes up the difference. Then it just goes into the point percents. Next is the expenditures, where that money goes, who gets what. It goes by chart of accounts, 1100. That is legislative. That is these and ladies and gentlemen up here. That's where their money is spent. Executive is my department. Elections, we don't have one. But if you can, Kyle, can you blow that up? Just zoom in. Maybe you can't. Yeah, there you can. So, get 2 columns, please. Yeah. So the top one, oh, you're already, I think I went ahead. There we go. There is no elections this year, so it's 0. Finance, the next one is $778,000, increase of $50,000. IT is $616,000, increase, a loss of $4,000. That's just because we moved an employee out of IT and moved it to another department. Government buildings, same thing. We moved 2 people from government buildings to public works, so that's why it shows a negative. And then judicial is an increase. There is a new position for courts. It's taking a part-time to full-time position. Courts has really picked up in the last 12 months. Then the police, now you start to see where the money, your tax money really goes, is police and fire. So they're $3.3, almost $3.4 million for police, increase of $257,000. Next is fire. They're the biggest department this year that's got the most. They're at $3.3 million, net increase of $374,000. So court, police, and fire is about 52% of the general funds budget. Everything else, the other $6 million, goes to all other 8 other departments throughout the city. So when people say, where do my taxes go? They go to public safety. We collect about $6 million in property taxes, and those 2 budgets alone are over almost $7 million. So that's where your money goes. We think highly of public safety, and we want to keep it that way. Public Works, $760,000, increase of $214,000. That's because we moved 2 people. That makes up that. Fleet, it's a little weird because fleet went down $108,000, even though it didn't go down. It's because this budget we're in now, we increased it to replace the fuel system at the city that provides fuel for all the vehicles. So the 2022 number went up, so it looks like we saved, but it's really about the same. And then it just breaks up into percentages after that. Let me back up to Main Street. I've overstepped that. Main Street Director, I know that could be a topic that a lot of people may talk about. The last one is $265,000. Now, certainly we're not paying that person that much money, but you do that? I mean, okay. As you recall, several months ago, the council approved a position for a Main Street Director that was at $65,000. But there is a grant in this budget for downtown Loganville, which we did not get, but I have to account for it as if we got it. And that was $150,000 in that budget. But it's also in revenue too, so that's kind of a false little number there, so you gotta know what you're talking about. It's not just the salaries. Any questions on general fund before I move on? Okay. Then we get into percentages. Like I said, 52% of money goes to public safety, and then really it goes into single digits, the 9% for highways and streets, and then it gets less than 5% for everyone else. So your money goes to public safety. All right, enterprise fund, that's your water, sewer, stormwater, water quality. That's the business side of the city, what we refer to as the enterprise fund. We're going to 10,281,000. That's an increase of 951,000. Again, it's about 10% increase. And then where does that revenue come from? So the misconception is that's my tax money. Well, tax money does not go to this fund. It's segregated. Tax money cannot go to this fund, but this fund can pay the tax side through a transfer, which we do. It's a business arm of the city, so therefore we charge it for the general fund. Water sales, sewer sales makes up the most revenue for that department. 36% of water, 30% sewer, and then it gets into tap fees. Tap fees is what the builder or developer pays when they come to the city to do a project. They tap our system, so therefore they pay a tap fee. When I say, give you an example of the apartments that we love to hear about, it's a little over $3 million in tap fees. That money sits in the enterprise fund to be used to make payments to the bond, so on. I also like to say, while we're talking about this, these apartments that everybody loves to talk to us about was approved decades ago. Not by nobody on this council. This was done in 1999 and 2004. So we're just seeing them come to fruition now as they're building, as the economy is doing pretty great. So every time we have a development come, we count on those tap fees to pay for the plant, to pay for the bond. They're very crucial. We take them into account when we got the bond. The bond I'm referring to is a 2018 bond. We borrowed $15 million plus another 4.5 to run water for Monroe and for Walton, which if you don't flush your toilets and it doesn't go nowhere, some people are going to be upset with the city, I imagine. So we try to keep that as best as we can. Now, the expenditures, those four departments, where does that money go? Wastewater, which is the plant, gets the most at $4.4 million, increase of $336,000, followed by water. I'll skip. Water gets the next biggest chunk at 4.3. That is your drinking water. That's anything from pipes busting to buying water is in that department. Sewer is any time you flush your commode or goes down a drain, that's outside the plant. And then what stormwater is what falls from the sky and what people dump illegally. That goes to a stream. That's your stormwater, which we are mandated by the state of Georgia to have a stormwater program. And then it breaks up into percentages. Like I said, 43% wastewater, 42% water, and then 8 for sewer, 7 for stormwater. Fund retirement ratio is just for the council's benefit. This shows that we're staying in the 80 to 90% percentile as far as having a pension for our employees, which is our number one retention and recruiting tool that we use, not only for police and fire, but for everyone else. I think you'll hear a little bit tonight about that maybe with the police. I'm not sure if they're going to talk about it or not. Am I going too fast for y'all? Wake up. All right. Special revenue. That is special funds that can only be used in certain areas. Solid waste, confiscated, capital recovery, and hotel motel. Solid waste is your sanitation fund. We hear a lot of people talk about how they wish they could use other haulers in the city because we were too high, but the reason we do that was 15 years ago we negotiated with our haulers to give us a break on the residential rates if we would give them roll-off service, which we still do. So we have an exclusive roll-off service for our vendor, which is now Waste Management. It was Advanced. But the reason we do that and the reason we maintain that is because we get a huge break on residential trash service. Out of all the people that use roll-offs, about 95% are developers. The other 4% are actually residents of the city. We use about 110 to 120 a month, and about 4 of those are actual residents of the city. So we let the developer pay the cost to get the break on the 5,000 trash services that we have. That is the reason why we do that. And we also charge them enterprise, like an enterprise fund, we charge them a franchise fee that goes into the general fund that offsets your property taxes. About 300,000 of that, which is about a $500,000 in your property taxes. So confiscated assets is what Chief Lowry likes to refer to as your local drug dealers. That's money that they seize on drug busts, not just here in the city, but we also are a part of the DA task force that goes everywhere. And if we work the case, depending on how much we work it, we get a certain percentage of that. Those drops come whenever the federal government releases it, or the state. After it goes through court, it could be months to years, but we typically budget on average about 100,000. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. That's typically what buys the police cars, vests, equipment, computers that's not coming out of the property taxes. It can only be used by the police too, at the chief of the police's discretion, no one else's. Capital recovery is what the developers pay when they do a tap fee. A percentage of that goes to capital recovery. That can only be used for projects such as water, stormwater, wastewater, or sewer projects. Hotel motel is what people pay in taxes to stay at a local hotel motel in the city limits. We get a percentage of that through taxes. We also do a transfer from that to the general fund, which also keeps the millage rate down. Speaking of the millage rate, we will not have that ready until the county gives us the digest, which is typically end of this month. So hopefully we'll have it by July or August to set the millage rate. But this budget was set with a current millage rate of 11.581. We'll come to y'all and ask to set the millage rate in another month or so. Any questions so far? Okay, more special revenue funds. These are your SPLOST, Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. Anytime somebody comes in our great Walton County or Gwinnett County, no matter where you're at, a cent goes to the state, goes to the cities in the county, and it's based on population is what we get. As you can see, the 2017 Gwinnett SPLOST produced $3,040,000. Walton County 2019 SPLOST is set to do $5.8 million, which you'll hear later tonight. We're going to buy fire trucks out of that. And the new Gwinnett SPLOST, which will be on the referendum in November. So if you live in Gwinnett County, look out for that. That's 4.4 for the city of Loganville. We can't tell you how to vote for SPLOST, but I can tell you what SPLOST is used for. Those right there in the last, just take the top two in the last 6 years, that is almost $9 million. If we didn't have that, it would come from property taxes. Your property taxes produce about $6 million a year. So that's about a year and a half worth of property taxes. That is, everybody pays for that. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen of Loganville or not. If you shop in Walton County or Gwinnett County, that goes to the cities, and every city is different based on the population, but those are so tremendous tools for the city for capital projects. If we didn't have them, stuff would not get done. Just plain and simple. We would not be buying a fire truck. We would not be paving roads. We would not be building a park. It's just a fact. They're great funds. I hope we continue to get them, because if we don't, we'll be in bad shape. Any questions on SPLOST? Okay. Shows you where the 2017 SPLOST went. Recreation got 44%, transportation 43%, infrastructure 12%. The 2023, 2029 Gwinnett SPLOST, the new one, after our last transportation survey we did, the study, we increased it to 58%. We had it at 23%, but the council felt it was important to put a lot of money in transportation, because that's our #1 issue that the city faces, is fixing roads, fixing intersections. We cannot do that without big money, and that's a lot of money. That's $2 million worth of money for hopefully 2 intersections. And then the other one is public safety, parks, and water infrastructure. SPLOST can only be used for equipment or projects, not employees or benefits. 2019, this is the current SPLOST for Walton County. Again, 55% of it's going to transportation, 40% is public safety, and 3.9% is recreation, which is parks. That is it, Mayor and Council, and I'll open it up for questions.
Well, I'd just like to make a comment if I could. Come November, the citizens of both Gwinnett County and Walton County are going to have a choice to make on SPLOST. It's going to be on the referendum. And to be quite honest, I think a lot of people in transportation, especially at the state, if it gets turned down again, they feel like that area is satisfied with their roads and satisfied with their traffic. Because we knew not, if we should not get it, we cannot, I don't believe we can do joint projects with them either, can we, Danny? Aren't we restricted?
You can, but they kind of look at it as go somewhere else that has the money.
Yeah.
We can't raise that much money like a SPLOST can.
Sometimes we get projects where we pay 20%, and the state pays 80%, and those are pretty darn good. But if you're happy with the roads and the transportation now, vote against it. If you're not, do what you got to do. That's all I got.
Yep. So, like the mayor said, 2 SPLOSTs coming up probably this November. That the Walton is looking at a T-SPLOST. That's correct. It's so the way SPLOST work. Before I answer, has anybody got any questions about the budget, and we can talk? Anybody question about the budget? Okay. So T-SPLOST is transportation. It can only be used for transportation, and in a T-SPLOST, you have to put 30% of your money to what's called owned system roads, which is state-owned roads. Which, if you're in Loganville, just about every road that has a problem is a state of Georgia road. We just did a KCI study. It gave us $46 million worth of projects. We have $3 million in the bank. So I can't even do really one road with $3 million. So unless we have some funds somewhere, the roads will stay like they are. It's just, you want the way I look at it is you want 13,000 residents paying for all the transportation, or you want everybody that shops in Walton County to pay for transportation, because we all use the roads. It's not just a city issue. It's a state issue. It's a county issue. So nobody likes to pay more in taxes, but nobody don't like sitting in traffic either. So. Okay. Can I answer your question? 7 minutes. Let's take a break.
Any questions from the audience?
I'd like to welcome Don Jones, the former city manager. Bill Jones' wife is with us.
Absolutely, that's a treat.
It is.